So I was studying at UVU, and one of Bill Whitaker's old students taught there. She was teaching anatomy classes, and after I got to know her for a while, she said, "You got to meet my mentor." And I went over and I met Bill, and I was just blown away at Bill's studio and at his painting. It was a magical thing for me. I went over and I started just going and visiting him, and then we talked about, hey, you know, you should come and I should mentor you. And that lasted for about a year and a half. And for that time, it was me and him in a studio. I was right next to him. He helped me get the 80%, the rest of the puzzle pieces of how to be a professional artist. And a very large piece for me was surfaces. What surfaces are the best? ABS board, that's when he introduced me to ABS board. That's all he painted on for, I think, the last 2 decades of his life is ABS board. And I absolutely love ABS board. It was a game changer for me. So ABS board is a composite plastic. It's porous, and so the paint adheres to it really nice, but it's flexible. This stuff is so durable. You could frisbee your paintings around and not get damaged, where in contrast, how many paintings have we ruined on canvas because someone bumps into it and, you know, it's forever ruined. And I love that you can choose what grit you want. If you want more tooth to it, if you want a grippier surface, then sand it down with like 100 grit. I personally like a 220 grit. I like a little bit smoother surface so the drawing goes a lot faster and cleaner. Every workshop that I've taught, I make my painters and the students paint on ABS board. And by the end of the 4-day workshop, they all really love ABS. Another plus to it is moisture does not affect it like it does wood. Heat and cold does not affect it like it does wood. One of my favorite parts about it is all of us have painted something. This is just kind of a quick demo that I did. But all of us have painted something and it's like, oh man, I wish I could take a ½ inch off of this side, or it's a little bit too top or bottom heavy. And it's just really easy to score it and just break it off. The great time saver with ABS board is you don't have to gesso it. The cost of your materials goes way down, and especially your time going into prepping a painting goes down. And so you sand, and that's it. When I'm stoked about doing a painting, it's fun to jump straight into the painting and not have to jump into all the prep time and then paint. Another great thing that I love about ABS board is your paint doesn't sink into the canvas weave. I remember this one in particular. I did this big landscape, and my impasto strokes, I mean, there's so much paint in the highlights and the sunset. And I remember coming back down the next morning and almost all of that paint had disappeared into the weave of the canvas. And in my opinion, it went from like a $10,000 painting to a $500 painting because I lost all of my impasto strokes. Where ABS board, it adheres to the surface nicely, but it stays on top. So when you put a nice thick impasto stroke, it's gonna stay that way. It's gonna be the same tomorrow, 10 days, 10 years, it doesn't sink into the surface. I love ABS board for washes and for rubbing out subject matter. When people start painting on this, they say, oh, it feels really slick at the beginning. But in my opinion, that is one of its greatest strengths, is because you can draw on it for a long time and that medium stays on top. And so what's happening is all the medium in your brush is not being depleted quickly into the canvas weave. It will just keep the medium in there for a very long time. I love doing washes on it. I love rubbing out whatever the subject matter is. And it's so easy on ABS board to leave just very visually interesting marks. If I was drawing on canvas by now, I'd already have to reload a few times. This is instantly a quicker way to draw and put paint down. Probably the number one reason that I like ABS is that you can just distress the crap out of it. I mean, I've taken tools, just sandpaper, scratching, and then you can glaze over and do all these different things. I love how they come in different thicknesses. I typically, for all my studies, I'll do the 1/16. For anything that's a commission or going to a gallery, I'll do at least 1/8. Up until I get to about 18 by 24, and then I will go 3/16 or a 1/4 inch thick. I am a huge believer that thick impasto, correctly used, is going to sell your paintings. The collector can come in and see very thick strokes and just be able to connect and react to those strokes in a very abstract way and just enjoy the actual paint, and then back up and they can see, they can connect with the subject matter. But if they can go back and enjoy in an abstract way and then in a subject matter way, then I think that's usually when, the trigger is pulled, and that's usually when the magic happens.